is the demo piece. So from this point on, we're going to pop over to our fresh project or fresh start demo script and work through that. So you should be able to see my screen. I'll let this catch up here. And we're going to actually start from the main screen. So this is a slightly branded Zia theme that you'll see here. It's not much as we'd love to have Alfresco roll out a Zia logo on every one of their projects. They probably aren't too keen on doing that. So what I'm going to do is roll through a couple of different user types. And so the first one I'm going to log in as Bob the manager. Excuse me. So what you see here, for people that are not familiar with Alfresco, the Alfresco Share product, is this is an application that's written on top of Alfresco's enterprise content management system. So what we're going to talk today is a little bit about some of the generic features involved in Alfresco, and then talk about the specific offerings that Fresh Start allows. The intent here, again, with Fresh Start is a very quick, effective way of rolling out an ECM implementation for a group of individuals. And so this is Bob's dashboard. Bob, as a manager, has been given that role, and so that could be given to him through Active Directory or LDAP, or as a role that you set up in kind of a group and user organization structure within Share. I can customize this dashboard, so I can add things like this roll-up. You see the Zia logo here. That's a dashlet, a custom dashlet that we wrote. That's a reporting roll-up. I'll talk about that in a minute. You can change the layout and make it a 3-panel or a 2-panel or a single panel, and I'll show some of that as we go on today. But this is individual directed, so Bob can control the look and feel of his own dashboard. He's got his limited profile here. He looks like a mafia boss. There are no activities today that were going on the particular sites. So you get kind of a pulse or heartbeat of what's going on. These are the different sites that I have access to, and the sites are really just collaborative environments. So if you think of HR, that's typically your intranet for a given company. Your HR department kind of drives policy, procedures, manuals, those sorts of things. And Bob is also involved with the IT department and the loan department. That's why you see these. And then Acme is a customer-driven site. The next thing that you see here is a web view, and this is something that you can configure the URL for. The next piece that I wanted to talk about is this this rollup. And so what we'll talk about it a little bit more specifically when we move into some of the departments, like at the IT department. We'll go look at a couple of projects that are going on there. But when you look at this is basically showing the kind of a portfolio status of all the things that Bob might be interested in. And obviously this is kind of tailored at at where the status of a financially and completion-wise, where a particular project is at. The model that I've got today doesn't allow me to click a given department and have that take you to that individual department, but that's a new feature that we're rolling out as well. It's actually done. I just don't have it on this demo image. But I can see kind of at a glance which of my projects are red, which one's yellow, which ones are green. And so the loan department, if we look at it for the project named Subprime Loans, that project is currently open. It has a budget that is looks like it's going to be about $10,000 of a cost overrun. We're estimating it is should be 4/5 complete, and it's not. It's 2/3. And so, same thing with the IT department. There's a project at risk, and we'll talk a little bit about the value of these. We've got a wiki page that describes how these calculated values show up as well. And then if you look at some of the other projects, the loan department, IT department has 3 more issues that are or projects that are on track. So with that, we're gonna pop in and show you how to create a quick site in Alfresco, and then we'll roll over and show the IT department. So if I go to sites and I say search for sites, this is kind of an important example because I talked a little bit about these sites being created from templates. So you can see they've got a little bit of a Zia logo on them as opposed to just the Earth. And Acme, HR department, IT department, and loan department are all created from this departmental templates and departmental or software or project templates. And I'll log in as an admin later and show you what I mean by that. But the point I'm trying to show here is that Bob is a manager, but Bob does not have access to manage the templates. So what he's going to do is go through and create a non-template site project, which is what Alfresco out of the box would show you. So Alfresco out of the box, we'd say non-template 2, and T2 is a collaboration site. It's private, and you say OK. So what you get here is you get kind of Alfresco's standard view of recently modified docs, activities, the getting started guide. So this is actually in a collaboration site. It doesn't have any other users associated with it. So if you've got a standard set of, say you've got 30 people that you include and they're spread across 3 different groups, you'd have to add those to this site. There's nothing that establishes a common look and feel. And this is not to dog on our friends at Alfresco, it's just that's what this was intended to show. There is no document library, it's a blank template. So if you're working from this metaphor, this is something that you would have to go build. So there's some of the data lists that we talked about earlier. They pop up and they show you the default list of things that you can add. So it's a way of managing events, contacts, and those sorts of things. It also shows you access to site members, so if you want to invite different people, you could invite them to it. Rather than have this set up as a default template that just rolls out, this is something that we find very valuable, is it has the ability for you to move very quickly as an organization. Links and calendar are also pretty self-explanatory, and there's wikis and blogs, and I'll show you a little bit more about those in a minute. So at this point, we're going to browse back to the dashboard. We're not going to go into that particular site. We're going to go look at the IT department. So the IT department has got a different look and feel than the one that I had on my dashboard. And so every time I create a new site from one of those templates, it'll look the way that we have them laid out. So I can see kind of the pulse of what's going on. I can see that the sample status report from Jeff has been modified. Jeff the consumer, this is definable as well. You can say the last 28 days show me all activities, which will show anything that was upgraded on this particular site. What you saw at the My Dashboard level when we're over here is a roll-up of all the activity that you have access to. And if you're not allowed access to those given sites, and they won't show up in your list of discussions. And again, this is the shameless plug for Zia here. But what we've got here is, again, a roll-up dashlet that's at the site level. So if you're an IT manager and you've set this up as your IT department, you could have 20 different projects going on at the same time. And the person that is responsible for each one would just identify any particular issues. Well, at the beginning of a project, you would identify risks, and then kind of at the end of a project, you would identify and promote those up to issues. So from potential things that could happen to actual things. And we'll show a little bit of the document library so that you can see the standard taxonomy structure. So what we've based this on is a PMI-based software development module. So um, this taxonomy or folder structure is organized for software development shops. And if you're not software inclined or you don't follow PMI, you can create your own standard template from this or modify the existing ones that we give you. But you can apply different groups and access to this. So, for example, the financials doesn't allow the client to see that portion. Only the executives and the project managers have access to the financial folders. Everything else is not included. And so, these are pretty standard taxonomy. Different groups, you can have metadata applied to it as well, so that it just works. It just works when you've got it. The data lists we'll talk a little bit about as well. So when you look at hardware issues, because that is a default alfresco list, what you've got here is the ability to create a new item. I'll show this, and this is all out of the box alfresco here so far. And you put in an issue ID of 3, you give it another option that says, this is something that can pop up. You select it, and off you go. And then this roll-up would actually allow you to add these items in here that this is a particular issue that's come up, that we have this set of problems that went from a risk item to an actual issue. So this isn't in theory. This is an actual issue that needs to be addressed and handled. So if we look at the information technology services project status roll-up, this is one that Zia wrote. You can tell it's got the little logo on here. This is one that we feel was really critical as part of the collaborative offering, is to be able to quickly see what events are happening. So what you're seeing here is a series of items, and I'll show you how to edit one of these. We could create a new one if we wanted, but for the item hardware upgrade, this is an open project. Here's the individual project name, and this is just intended to be, if there's 20 projects going on, in theory there would be 20 of these given items in this particular status, so that a PM can very quickly communicate with the rest of the IT team and any of the managers that are supposed to see this. You can say what the budget is, which is the original contract value for the project. The actuals is the expended dollars that are through a specific reporting period. The estimation estimated to completion is the expected cost needed to complete all the remaining work for a given project. And the estimate at completion is where we're at, the expected total cost of a project. So what it's going to be versus where we're at. And you notice that that's yellow because we're within 5%. So basically, green is we're on track, yellow is we're up to about 5% before we're over, and red is the wheels are off and we're over budget. So you notice that there's additional columns on here than we have in the edit items, and that's because these are calculated fields. So percent complete is, the variance, percent complete, percent expended are obviously pretty self-explanatory, but it's just the difference, the actuals over the EAC, and then the actuals over the budget. So that's where we're at.